This can be found on page 35 of your notebook. Today we're going to talk about mixed and improper fractions. So a mixed or an improper fraction is actually a fraction. It's a whole number and then a fraction, or it's something that is actually bigger than one, which would be a whole number and a fraction. So a mixed example of that would be something like 3.5. You have 3 whole pizzas, and then you have a half of a pizza. So you have 3 wholes and then 1 of 2 shaded. An improper fraction of that would be considered 7/2. So the fractions we looked at yesterday, the top number was always smaller than the bottom number. Now you can see the top number is bigger than the bottom number. So 5/3, 21/8, any of those would be considered improper fractions. All right, now we need to be able to go back and forth between improper to mixed. So this right here is an improper fraction, 10/3. I want to make it a mixed number. So what you can do is off to the side, you can divide. The top number always goes in the house. 10 divided by the bottom number always goes outside. 10 divided by 3. Now, you should be able to do this in your head. How many times can 3 go into 10? It can go in 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Minus 1, okay, so you get a remainder 1. So now you kind of read it like a clock. You get 3 1/3. So your answer is 3 1/3. Now, I can do that in my head, and I bet some of you can too. You just think, how many times can 3 go into 10? It goes in 3 whole times with 1 left over out of 3. But if you're one of those kids that wants to write all this down, that's totally okay, and I recommend doing that if you can't keep it all straight in your mind. Once you get good at it, you might find that you can just go ahead and do it in your head. So let's try another example. So I want to go ahead and put the top number, no matter what, in the house, divided by 5. 12 divided by 5. 5 can go into 12 2 times. I get 2 left over, so I read it like a clock. Start at the top. 2 2/5. This example is 9 divided by 4. So 9 divided by 4. 4 can go into 9 twice. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract, we get 1. So you read it like a clock. 2 1/4. 17/8. Well, let's do this one in our heads. How many times can 8 go into 17? What's the closest it can? It can go in 2 whole times, which would give me 16, which is 1 away from 17. 2 1/8. All right, now we want to practice going the opposite way. We want to be able to go from mixed to improper. So let's clear all this. Okay, and let's make this bigger so we can see it. Oops. I think going this way is a little bit easier. And I think kids usually remember this way better. All right, so now if you have a mixed number to start and you want to make it into an improper fraction, this is what you do. So here's our example, 1 2/5. You take the denominator, which in this case is a 5, and you times it by this 1. So 5 times 1 is 5. In your head, keep that in there, and then add the 2. So 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7, and then you bring that denominator over. So it's 7/5. Now, on a scale, these two things would be the same thing. 1 2/5 is exactly the same thing as 7/5. If I gave somebody 1 2/5 pizzas and I gave someone else 7/5 pizzas, you have the exact same amount of pizza. It's just another way to say it. All right. Example number 2, same thing. Take your denominator and times it by this. So multiply those. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. Keep the same denominator, 7/2. In this example, 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus 3 is 17/7. So that's my final answer. Now, I could check it by doing what I just did. Go backwards. Do 17 divided by 7. Well, 17 can go into here 2 times. 14, I get 3. So my answer would be 2 3/7, which is what I got here. So you can tell that they're equivalent.